Well, a very good afternoon from Phuket, and today is Friday the 10th of April. To start off, I'm going to go over the figures. I do want to mention a few things before I announce the figures for today, just from comments and emails that I've had since my last video, that includes not only my last vlog but videos that I did before that, where people have said about the figures over here in Thailand. Of course, the figures are only accurate to a point, and I'm not going to dispute that. I'm going on what is officially announced every day on Thai national TV. This is on Channel 2. This is given out by the government. There is an initial announcement in Thai, and then they have another announcement that is translated into English. So that's what I'm going on. My personal thoughts on the figures is, of course, unless you test every single person in a country every single day, you're never going to be 100% accurate on your figures. Of course, the more testing you're doing, the better idea you're going to have of the figures. But the only real way of getting a completely accurate figure count would be to test every single person every single day in that particular country, and that's simply not possible. So of course there may be discrepancies in the figures. I'm not going to argue there, but I'm going on officially announced figures. Now, some people have questioned the fact, why am I doing this vlog at all? The reason why I'm doing this vlog is not everybody has access to the media over here in Thailand. Some people, of course, subscribe and watch my channel throughout the rest of the world, so of course they don't initially see the announcements in the Thai media, etc. So they follow my channel to get some idea of what's happening. Also, I try to clarify certain situations. I try to be as clear and give a precise picture of what's happening over here, because sometimes in some of the media outlets over here, they do sort of dramatise the situation over here. This is my personal feeling a little bit more. Certain words, certain choices of words that they use tend to make the situation sound a little bit worse than what it actually is. I will come to this shortly later in this video, but let me first get these figures out of the way. I have got a few figures for the past 3 or 4 days, but for today's figures, for the whole of Thailand, we've had 50 new cases, which takes the total now to 2,473. Unfortunately, we have had one new death announced today, and that total now stands at 33. Now, recovered people here in Thailand, we have a figure of 1,013 people that have been infected and have now recovered. Now, here in Phuket, our figures here in Phuket, there is a slight discrepancy today from what the government has announced, and again, what one of the local media networks have announced. The government have announced 8 new cases here today in Phuket, which should take the total to 169. However, there is one media outlet that is reporting 9 new cases, which would take our figure to 170, of course. Now, I don't know why there's a slight discrepancy. Maybe there's a figure being recorded after the government announcement. I'm not quite sure, but as I say, a slight discrepancy there. Also, it has been announced now that there are 15 provinces in Thailand that has some sort of restrictions placed on them, either by the government, the national government, or the local government. Now, of course, in Phuket we do have some restrictions which I'm going to go over, and these are being tightened. Now, before I get into the restriction measures, I just want to sort of clarify on my position and my feelings. I live here in Phuket. I'm here 24 hours a day, so I can see what's going on around the island. Now, there's been a lot of media releases just lately about things that are coming into play in the next few days here in Phuket, where people are saying Phuket is going into a lockdown. Now, that is their choice of words, not mine. I prefer the use of restriction of movement, simply because lockdown, to me, is a very strong word, and it implies a lot severer restrictions than we currently have in place in Phuket. And people have argued on social media when I have mentioned this fact about that it is a lockdown, and of course some people, if they prefer to use the word lockdown, then that is their choice, but I do not prefer to use this word because I don't personally feel that we have a lockdown situation. There is a restriction of movement, of course. It started with Patong, which was a restriction of nobody going in or out unless certain conditions such as food, medical supplies, etc. As you could probably hear in the background, there is building noise going on. This is coming from a local construction site who are currently building a hotel. So of course those people that consider we are now in a lockdown situation in Phuket, I would say that construction workers on building sites, people moving up and down the road currently, as you could probably hear in the background, I don't consider that to be a lockdown. Now, there were some premature releases in the media the other day about a situation that is going to develop in the next few days in Phuket, where all the separate small districts is the best word I can use to describe what is going to take place. They're all having their own restriction of movements come in place. People are saying this is a lockdown, but again, I'm going to argue the situation that people are moving around in the areas in the daytime quite freely. In fact, there's businesses still open. Some of these businesses, in my opinion, are unnecessary and are causing people to move around. The government are asking people and requesting people to stay at home where possible. Now, not everybody is taking and heeding this advice. People are going out and doing whatever they choose to do, for whatever reasons. They are not necessarily only going out to buy food. They are going out for other reasons, which is down to them. So, of course, people are not heeding the warnings, even though people are saying it's a lockdown. To me, a lockdown is where you cannot move outside of your own home at all. And that is not the current situation here in Phuket. There is still people moving around within the districts. There has been a restriction on several districts here in Phuket up to today, but over the next 48 hours, I believe on Monday, the whole island is going to have restrictions on each district. So wherever you happen to live on the island, you are stuck within that district, but you are still allowed to move out of your home. I live here, and as you can hear, this road is very, very busy. I did do some filming earlier on my phone, which I will overlay on this video so that you can see people moving around quite freely in the daytime. So this, to me, does not construe the use of lockdown at present. A lockdown is when there's no movement at all, in my opinion. This is my personal opinion, I must stress this, but I do feel that people are overemphasising the movement restrictions and making it sound to be a lot more dramatic than it needs to be, and this is causing unnecessary stress to people, unnecessary worry and unnecessary panic. Now, other developments that have happened since my last vlog is, of course, the government have announced a visa amnesty, which covers most people. I'm not going to say it covers everybody, because everybody's situation is slightly different over here, but it covers most of the tourists, and it also covers most of the foreigners that reside here in Thailand, such as myself. The immigration offices are still currently open, and they are being manned, but I'm glad to say that we have this amnesty, which will take a lot of pressure off these offices, because obviously people have seen scenes of some of these offices being very, very crowded, and it was my concern that later, either this week, which obviously would have been either yesterday or today, if the amnesty hadn't come into play, I would have needed to have visited my local office, and I wasn't looking forward to that situation, being in an area with lots and lots of other people. So I'm relieved to say that that has now come into law and into force. So we don't have to panic straight away about our visa position now. Of course, as the situation changes, I am going to be required to go and renew my visa extension, either at the office, the immigration office, or at one of the borders, whichever becomes available first as the situation develops. Of course, I will let people know, but at the moment most people are covered. Now, I think that people that are looking to do their year extension, so if you are coming to the end of your yearly extension, then you are still required to go to the immigration office to make your year extension for the following or forthcoming year. Now, of course, hopefully the immigration offices are going to be a lot less busier than we have seen over the last few weeks, so maybe now is a good time to go and get that sorted out. Hopefully there shouldn't be too many people there, not putting yourself at risk, and indeed the immigration officers themselves. I would like to point out that people have focused a lot on the foreigners, and that is true. Foreigners are at risk, of course, of catching the virus when they're in cramped and crowded positions, but also the immigration officers that are on site who are trying to deal with people's applications as best they can are also putting themselves in danger of catching the virus. So people need to also have a thought about those officers working in those sort of conditions. They've done the best with what they could, and I'm glad now finally the government has sorted this situation out. Okay, now also we have what would have been Songkran coming up, which would have taken place, of course, over the next few days. I think Songkran was originally to be on the 14th of April, but of course that has been pushed back. Now, there was some announcements in the media that were reported, again incorrectly, that the governor here in Phuket was saying people could celebrate Songkran providing they didn't go out of their district, and one of the media outlets posted an inappropriate picture to go along with that, showing water parties, and of course this then sparked a lot of comments saying this was inappropriate, which of course it would be. The media outlet has now apologised for the picture that it posted, and also has revised their statement, their initial statement of this. The governor was not implying that people should go out and party in the streets. What he was saying is there are other ways for the people to celebrate Songkran without the street celebrations. Of course, a lot more toned down version of this. They want people to remain at home where possible, not to drink too much alcohol, and this is something that I'm about to get onto now, because there has been a ban announced on alcohol which runs from today until the 20th of this month, so nobody can buy any alcohol from the shops currently at the moment, because again they're worried about people getting carried away and celebrating it in the wrong way with large groups in homes. We have seen a number of parties taking place here on the island of Phuket, which is totally contradictory to what the government is saying. They don't want people to gather together in their own homes and have a large party. This is not a great way to deal with this current situation. Unfortunately, we have this situation in play, and we have to try and deal with it as best as we possibly can. So I'm just going to go back over now the last few days. There has been some media coverage of foreigners worried about their safety currently in Thailand. I noticed an article that was posted. There has been a few pages set up and have targeted foreigners because they haven't been wearing masks, and have showed scenes of intended harm to foreigners. We all need to work together with this situation. It's no good blaming one or others for this situation. The situation is the way it is, and we all need to work together. Of course, people are concerned about people going out without masks, and it is now mandatory here in Phuket, and it has been now announced that people that are going into public spaces, or indeed outside of your own personal home, that if you are caught without wearing a mask, you can get a fine up to 20,000 baht. So that is worth taking into consideration. Of course, personally, I feel this is good common sense to wear a mask, maybe eye protection of some description, whether it be a full visor or sunglasses or something that is going to offer some type of protection. Again, there's arguments about what protection is effective and what not. I'm not here to debate all the different arguments. I just think it's good common sense that when we go outside, if we need to go outside for shopping for certain circumstances, then the more precautions we can take, the better, and it's going to help. And if everybody does this, then everybody's going to be helping in some degree. This I'm sure of, and there would be no need for this issue about foreigners worrying about their security and safety when they're outside. Restrictions to Thai airspace has been extended, I believe, to the 18th of this month. So at the moment, commercial flights cannot come into Thai airspace unless they are under one of the certain exemptions, or flying in empty with no passengers, just to take passengers back to their own country. Also, there's been an announcement that the opening of schools have been pushed back now to the 1st of July. I will keep you posted as things change about that. Of course, July, quite a few months away yet, so things can change in between. If the situation gets better before then, I'm sure the government will change this and may possibly bring the opening of schools forward. It may just stay as the 1st of July. Now, I do think I've covered most of the things. One thing to mention about the cases, we have seen a fluctuation in the numbers of new recorded cases, as I mentioned earlier. They have been quite low for a few days, and then 1 or 2 days they did rise up. Not in great amounts, but a little bit of a rise. A little bit concerning, but they have then dropped back down again. I would like to see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel to this situation. On a practical point, this is not so easy when we have very high temperatures outside. We're having to run the air conditioning a lot because we're indoors a lot, and of course this costs money. Unfortunately, our business is closed, so we're not generating money. It seems to be a lot easier to spend money than it does to earn money at the moment. I hope there's going to be some sort of solution to this situation we're in. I'm hoping that it's going to come to an end sooner rather than later. Unless we all work together, this situation is going to last a lot longer. Well, as I say, I think that's brought me right up to date for today's vlog. Got a few things off that's been playing on my mind the last few days. Certain reports in the media that have been misleading people, causing people to panic unnecessarily. As I say, that thing that's coming into play on Monday, on the 13th of April, about the districts now in Phuket being closed off, so that people are expected to stay only in their district and not travel to another district. It was initially reported that we were going to be in a 24-hour lockdown curfew situation, which was completely untrue. That is not the situation, but we are having some more restrictions of movement. So that brings me right up to date, so I'm not going to waffle on anymore. I'm going to leave it there. I hope everybody that's watching my video is well. I have had a person that has emailed me the last few days to ask me advice on visas, which I have given him, and he did mention that he has got symptoms of the virus, so I wish him all the very best, and I hope he has a speedy recovery from this. My thoughts are with you, my friend. I hope you are feeling better very, very soon, and indeed make a full recovery. So that's all from me today. Everybody out there, please stay safe, take care, and until next time, I will catch you on the next one.